Hello, trading is closed on October 20th, 2020. Disclaimer first and then some calls. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, October 21st, 2020. If we gap smartly in the undesired direction, the call's killed before the open. Can't guarantee it's a good plan. Trade at your own risk. My email address is here. Well, here's what we said. Look for the pattern with the early low. We certainly got that. We said there was support at the low and higher targets. Unless we gapped down smartly, I looked for higher prices. Well, we didn't gap down. We gapped up. We got the higher prices. Our target was 34.6994, and that printed resistance over the target. Ultimately, we should see 34.92.20. Usually you don't have to wait long, but there's no real time limit. It can happen much later. This is a pattern with the early low, and tomorrow also has the early low. Doesn't mean you won't gap up. During the day, MEJT gave an ultimate sell signal in the morning, and that worked. There was an optional target that we'd overtake this dashed line despite the sell signal, and we did. We got a buy signal in the afternoon, just means a higher target was on the table, and that printed immediately. So there wasn't really anything in the wasn't anything in the system that said we had to trade higher, although usually in this daily pattern you will. And when you don't close near the high in this pattern, it's trouble. Now, recall that tomorrow's open can substitute for today's close. So if we gap and promptly take this high out, it's the normal bullish pattern. But this isn't the normal pattern. We gapped up, hit a higher high, closed under all the highs. We didn't close under the intermediate lows, which is just a kiss of death if it's maintained at tomorrow's open. But remember, tomorrow's open substitutes for today's close. Even though futures are up as I'm recording this, if they open down under this low, it should lead to much lower prices. Doesn't mean the lower prices won't happen right at the open, but it's a negative pattern, and it's up to the bulls to bulls to invalidate the pattern by gapping and taking out this high, and as we'll see from the wave count, it's a tall order. Here's where I have us. Now we still have too much positive sentiment, and sentiment indicators aren't really pinpoint indicators, but it's hard to stage a good advance when everyone's already invested in stocks. So with that much positive sentiment, you look for a drop of some kind, but we're certainly not seeing the deterioration in breadth that I would expect to see if we were going to have a collapse here. And it's possible that this is just part of wave blue B. We're making an ABC, and then blue B is going to continue. It's also possible the whole idea is wrong, but I don't think it is. Well, in this blue B, we have A and then B. Blue C, I should say. We have A and then B, and we're looking at this wave from this top of green B. That's green B. There's a pretty clean count with an A and a B. And then in wave red C, you have your A with good fibs, A, B, C, and a B. And if that's the right count, it certainly wouldn't be surprising if we had wave blue C of red C to complete the decline. Just because this count works, it doesn't mean other counts do not. But this is a weak pattern if we only invalidate it by taking out the high early. And it wouldn't surprise me to have a wave blue C, somewhat reminiscent of this wave blue A, with a wave red C, somewhat reminiscent of wave red A. But after a drop, you could at least make the case that the rally would continue into year's end. Well, tomorrow's pattern has early low doesn't mean you won't gap up. Today's normally bullish pattern was negative as the close was not near the high of the day. Unless we gap and promptly overtake today's high, I think we see lower prices tomorrow. The wave count, if it's correct, calls for a significant fall from here. In addition, the upcoming week is one of the weakest of the year in the Gregorian calendar. Those of you with familiarity with Chris Carlin's work know it's based on lunations, or the lunar month and the lunar calendar. But the Gregorian calendar, the standard calendar we all use, has some good weeks and bad weeks too, like Thanksgiving week tends to be up, and 4th of July tends to be up, and Christmas week tends to be up. Third week in October tends to be down. It's often the worst week of the year. So tomorrow's pattern has the early low. This is a negative pattern. If we take this out early tomorrow, the negativity goes away. But a lot of things are pointing towards a drop tomorrow. But after the drop, which isn't necessarily going to be over in a day, we could have the standard year-end rally. And that's today's call.